Vandals target French Telecoms network. Nicolás Maduro declared winner in Venezuela's presidential election. China's Xi calls for cooperation with Italy. Bangladesh restores internet as students call off job-quota protests. Japan's Sado Gold Mine gains UNESCO status. Sharks in Brazil test positive for cocaine.
Hello, I'm Wade Lee. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It is Tuesday, July 30th, and here are your top stories. France's telecom network has suffered isolated outages across the country after being targeted by vandals, with 11,000 customers affected. Marina Ferrari, Junior Minister for Digital Matters, said some landlines and mobile services were affected following the overnight attacks. Report in Le Parisien newspaper and BFM TV said cables in electrical cabinets had been cut in southern France, and the installation in the Meuse region near Luxembourg and the Oise area near Paris had also been targeted.
France's telecoms regulator ARCEP said most of those affected used the SFR or free networks. At least 6 of France's administrative departments were affected, including the region around the Mediterranean city of Marseille, which is hosting football and sailing competitions for the Olympics. This comes after reports said a far-left activist had been arrested in connection with a series of attacks on the country's high-speed train network, which caused travel chaos ahead of the Paris Olympics opening ceremony. It was not immediately clear if the telecom's vandalism was connected to the railway attack. Vandals used explosive devices to set off fires, which damaged signal boxes along lines connecting the capital with cities such as Lille, Bordeaux, and Strasbourg.
Nicolás Maduro was declared the winner in Venezuela's presidential election on Sunday, even as his opponents were preparing to dispute the results, setting up a high-stakes showdown that will determine whether the South American nation transitions from one-party rule. Shortly after midnight, the National Electoral Council said Maduro secured 51% of the vote, overcoming opposition candidate Edmundo González with 44%. The results were based on a tally of 80% of voting stations, marking an irreversible trend. Opposition representatives said tallies they collected from campaign representatives at the polling station showed González trouncing Maduro.
However, the Electoral Authority, controlled by Maduro loyalists, didn't immediately release the official tallies from all the voting centers nationwide, hampering the opposition's ability to challenge the results after claiming it had the voting acts for only 30% of the ballot boxes. The delay in announcing results indicated a deep debate inside the government about how to proceed after Maduro's opponents came out early in the evening all but claiming victory. Seeking a third term, Maduro faced his toughest challenge yet from the unlikeliest of opponents in González, a retired diplomat who was unknown to voters before being tapped in April as a last-minute stand-in for opposition powerhouse Maria Corina Machado. Opposition leaders were already celebrating, online and outside a few voting centers, assuring a landslide victory for González.
China's President Xi Jinping called for further cooperation with Italy on Monday at a meeting with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, noting the two countries were the ends of the historical Silk Road trade route. Meloni pulled Italy out of China's Belt and Road Initiative, whose name refers to the ancient overland trade route, in December, but signed an agreement on Sunday that provides a new path for the two countries to cooperate on trade and other issues. Meloni is on a 5-day state visit, her first visit to China as Prime Minister.
The BRI is one of Xi's signature policies, which aims to build power and transportation infrastructure around the world in order to stimulate global trade, while also deepening China's ties with other nations. Meloni said Italy could play an important role in China's relationship with the European Union and in creating balanced trade relationships. The EU imposed provisional tariffs of up to 37.6% on China-made EVs in early July. China's support for Russia after it invaded Ukraine has further strained relations with the EU. Meloni also noted China's role as a diplomatic power on the global stage. She said, "There is growing insecurity at the international level, and I think that China is inevitably a very important interlocutor to deal with all these dynamics."
Bangladesh said it had restored internet services as conditions returned to normal after students called off protests against reform to job quotas that killed nearly 150 people this month. The agitation, which began in universities and colleges last month, flared into nationwide protests that injured thousands as security forces cracked down, leading to curfews, army patrols on the streets, and internet suspension to rein in the violence. The foreign minister said in a statement on Sunday, the broadband and mobile internet connectivity has been restored with full functionality by now.
The United Nations, the US, and Britain were among the critics of the use of force against protesters while urging Dhaka to uphold the right to peaceful protest. Rights groups and critics say Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has grown more autocratic during her 15 years in power, marked by mass arrests of political opponents and activists, forced disappearances, and extrajudicial killings, charges she denies. Protests led by students broke out in June when a high court ordered the restoration of quotas in government jobs, including reservations for families of veterans of the 1971 War for Independence from Pakistan. Students agreed to pause their agitation after the Supreme Court scrapped most quotas on July 21, opening 93% of jobs to candidates selected based on merit.
The UNESCO World Heritage Committee on Saturday decided to register Japan's controversial Sado Gold Mine as a cultural heritage site after the country agreed to include it in an exhibition of its dark history of abusing Korean laborers during World War II. The decision signaled an improvement in ties between Tokyo and Seoul. The mine, on an island off the coast of Niigata in northern Japan, operated for nearly 400 years and was once the world's largest gold producer before closing in 1989. It was also linked to Japan's wartime abuse of Korean laborers.
Committee members, including South Korea, gave unanimous support to the listing at Saturday's annual meeting in New Delhi. They said Japan provided additional information, made all necessary amendments to the plan, and consulted with South Korea over the mine's wartime history. The Japanese delegate told the meeting that Japan has installed new exhibition material to explain the severe conditions of Korean laborers' work and remember their hardship. Japan acknowledged that Koreans were assigned more dangerous tasks in the mine shaft, which caused some to die. Many of them were also given meager food rations and almost no days off. A memorial service for all the workers at the Sado Island gold mines will be held annually at the site.
Sharks living off the coast of Brazil have tested positive for cocaine, the first time that the drug has been detected in free-ranging sharks. According to a paper by researchers at the Oswaldo Cruz Foundation in Brazil, scientists tested 13 Brazilian sharp-nosed sharks in the waters off the city of Rio de Janeiro and found cocaine present in both liver and muscle tissues of all 13 specimens. The species was chosen due to its small size and the fact that it lives in a small area of coastal waters, where it is exposed to significant contaminant discharges for its entire life cycle.
According to the study, cocaine levels were around 3 times higher in muscle tissue than in liver tissue, and female sharks had higher cocaine concentrations in muscle tissue compared to males. Study co-author Enrico Mendes Saggioro, an ecotoxicologist at the foundation, told CNN on Tuesday that cocaine pollutes the sea due to sewage discharges from humans who use the drug, as well as illegal laboratories that produce it. Cocaine consumption has risen massively around the world in recent decades. About 22% of users live in South America, with Brazil being the second largest consumer market in the region. Increased consumption and poor sewage treatment infrastructure have led to higher cocaine levels in the sea.
The answer for yesterday was C, boisterous. The children tend to gather together quietly for a while before they broke into boisterous play. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into the news of Vandals target French Telecoms network. Number 1, isolated, 单独的，只出现一次的. The police said the attack was an isolated incident. Number 2, outage, 停电期间. During the outage, hallways were lit only by lights filtering in from the window. Number 3, installation, 安装设置. Installation of the new system will take several days. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comment section. The correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's all for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune into Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Wei Li, your host. I'll see you next time.